Welcome to Konfidence with Kathleen, hosted by me, Kathleen Diggle. Hey, welcome everyone. Today I'm with Kaprina Jones. Kaprina, thank you. She accepted to do the podcast with us, but for sure, if you can watch it on YouTube, because we are here with the machine, with the Acuscope. I have a lot of people. I did one that we were just talking about it in my studio. But there's a lot of people that they don't know what is the machine and how it works. So I asked Kaprina, she accept to come and make us a demonstration and explain us more how it works. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
And can you present yourself a little bit and what you're doing and things like that?
Sure. Okay, so my name's Kaprina. I've been doing the Acuscope for a little over 5 years now. The Acuscope it's been around for a very long time. Kind of one of those, it's getting bigger in the horse industry, but it's actually been around for over 40 years, and a lot of people don't realize that. But it's kind of known as like the industry's best kept secret in a lot of different ways, because for a long time, until social media was as big as it is now, it wasn't, it wasn't, because people didn't tell people would tell each other back and forth what they're doing, but they weren't, making Facebook posts about it and stuff like that. Okay, so the Acuscope is really good for injuries, but it's also really good for maintenance also, just helping the horses like feel their edge or, stay on edge. We have different settings and different treatment protocols to be able to address tendons, ligaments, muscles, nerves, inflammation, bones, pretty much everything. There's something that there's a treatment protocol, whether it be injuries or it just be helping the horse, feel good.
And we got
obviously
one
she likes her treatment.
She likes her treatment. She's like, stop talking. But before, Millie, you will have to wait a little bit. But before we start, so because we heard about Acuscope and Myopulse and things like that. Can you, because here we got the machine, can you just explain us a little bit the difference? I think it's in the, I don't know how you say it. My English sometimes it's so bad. The current, is it the
microcurrent?
Yes, that's the difference.
So they're both microcurrent. They're both in milliamps, so like they're not like shocking, I guess. They're DC current, so they're not actually shocking. But so the best way I explain it is the Acuscope is the one that opens up and reads the tissue and starts your healing, and then the Myopulse comes behind and it's kind of like your feel good with it.
Okay.
They're both
work on the cells.
They both open the cells, and help with the cellular dysfunction. But they both they complement each other. That's the word I was looking for.
Okay, that's good.
They complement each other, and so the Acuscope is a square waveform of the body, and then the Myopulse is your sloping waveform.
Okay, perfect. We will explain them when we will put on her like all the things, and because I know you will use the roller too on her, we will use a little bit of everything. But when you arrive to a barn with your machine, how do you decide, where you put the plate and things like that, and how do you do that,
So, every horse is different. Every horse gets their own specific treatment protocol. We have the schooling that I had, we have we call it the basic of the settings that we're going to use. But we also have, my book is full of different treatment protocols that we're taught and that we're able to kind of make ourselves to, depending on the horse. So like this horse per se, I talk to the owner and see what they feel on the horse, what the vet has said on the horse, depending on if it's an injury or if it's just maintenance.
What did I said too on the horse when we work together?
Right.
So,
and so it just and whatever you feel, just like this horse, we're always But so the treatment protocol just kind of depends on that, and depending on the discipline, I have different. So like my barrel horses, I have specific treatment protocols that I've found that my girls or you or the vets have said oh, this really helps them in that sense, like range of motion, striding out. It just kind of depends too, and I try to talk to the riders a lot about what they feel. I kind of do a trial and error on it. Like, they always feel like their horse feels better, but different treatment protocols, they'll be like, I don't know what you did last time, but do that again, because it was amazing.
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
So just kind of, and I read their body language too. And then we have, in school we were taught how to like go through their body and just feel on them, and you can kind of see like different, you know, when you press on their back, oh, their back is sore at this part or whatever. It's like, okay, well, let's make sure that that's definitely incorporated in the treatment protocol.
Perfect. So we will let you do a body exam before I talk, or I think you talk with Alex too to ask her a little bit already. Okay, but do you want to go and show us, and then we can start with her?
Sure. So I always start up here at their pole and just kind of feel and go down on their muscles and stuff. I kind of feel around on their shoulders and stuff and feel.
And you look when they have a reaction too. Yeah.
Well, and like kind of like just watch their muscles right here too and see if they kind of flinch or not. So like you can see right here, she's kind of reactive.
A little bit sore.
Right. Which is normal. Most horses are going to have, especially performance horses, they're going to have, you know, something.
Yeah.
And I like to feel down their leg. I try to feel if there's like anything hot or anything like that.
Okay. So you do one side
and then I do the other.
The other side.
Yep.
Okay, I will let you continue. Do you feel like if they have an injury, do you work just on that spot, or you can work on the other place too, you know, while you are there?
You can work on the other places too. So you want to treat the body as a whole. So if they have an injury on, you know, their front end, their hind end is going to be compensating for that, or the other front. Yeah. And so, I try to incorporate treatments of their whole body into it also. Now, obviously, there's times when it's more beneficial, like, just to work on that specific injury area. Yeah. But for the most part, you want to treat your whole body, the body as a whole, instead of just the one spot.
Perfect. And so do you, like with her, what do you think? What is your plan for today?
So like her neck is always stiff. And so I always like to, I have a roller bar treatment that I like to do. So I either like to roller bar it, and she likes that. Or I like to put plates on her neck also. Like Alex, we talk about her a lot as to, you know, what she's feeling, and it's always something that's in her neck. And you always say too, like, there's something always that's on the neck. And then I'll plate her hind end also.
Yeah, because you can see on the side, and more the right side,
right,
that right hip was more sore.
Yeah. So we plated her hind end. Her front end her withers are taped like that because we're gonna use the roller bar and roller bar her neck. And we'll show doing that in just a second. So there's gel between the horse, the plate, and the tape. So I don't know if you can kind of see that.
Yeah, we can. I think
I can go like that. There's gel in there, or on there. The gel's the conductor, so that's how it actually gets, you know, the treatment too. Okay, so we turned on, and it's reading from her back plate up here to her right leg. And so it's at 42. So my machine reads at 105. 105 is what we call perfect. We call open. And so then we add gain to get to close to 105. So 50 gain.
50 gain. Is it a lot, or what that means?
So each machine is different. And so on my machine, 50 gain, that just means it's about normal for the performance horses. Usually that's about normal. It means that their body's just being used, and that they have some soreness, but it's not like end of the world.
Okay,
that just means
perfect. So that's, and now with that you did the right side, is that correct?
Yep. So then I'm going to check the left side too.
Okay.
Okay, so then we check the left side, and she's at 95 on the left side. So then we add 10 gain.
So she's less sore on the left. We
On
were
the left side.
anyway. Even when you palpate her and what I was feeling, it was more on the right, the back right hip. So that makes sense now.
So then,
okay. So then you start the machine, and how do you start it? Like, what is all those numbers? I don't want to know, but I'm curious because I'm feeling it's pretty interesting. And how much do you do, like, per set, you know?
So each setting is 2 minutes each. And so, like, for her, she just gets what's considered our basic protocol. And so we have our frequency, our timer, and our intensity. So she gets the highest intensity, and then she's going to start at 05, which is the deepest. And then we start it.
Okay. So how many, like, setup because you said that it takes 2 minutes for each setup, how many do you do for regular protocol, like for her protocol that she needs right now?
So hers on the Acuscope, she gets 5 settings on the Acuscope.
Okay.
And that just opens everything up, makes it feel good.
And different just to open and feel good, because it's more maintenance. It's not like an injury.
Right.
And if it's an injury, does the treatment stay, it's longer or not?
Yes, because we're going to incorporate different settings to help heal whatever that injury is.
Okay.
So, there's obviously several other, I haven't ever counted actually how many other settings there is to use. But there's several settings that we can use that help, and they all address different things too. So depending on the injury, you would add those.
Perfect. Other question, because you, in 5 years, you did a lot of horses, you know, what is the things that you were like, oh my God, that's, you know, that you want to, everyone knows that you see a big difference, or you see that I know it helped for a lot because I saw it on a lot of people, on a lot of horses, sorry. But what, for your experience?
So I had a horse that was my friend's horse, and he got cut up in the fence really bad, and they took him to, he hit the artery in his foot. It tore, it shredded everything in his leg. Like, if you can imagine it being torn, it was torn. And the first vet got it, emergency vet got it put together. It was stopped bleeding, all the things. But he had a joint infection. So that was really scary because it was like, oh gosh, what's going on? So then he ended up saying, they ended up having to switch to a different vet. And he stayed at that vet clinic for 2 or 3 weeks, I think. And I would go in there and work on him almost every day. And then he came and stayed with me for 6 weeks after that. And that horse taught me more about injuries and Acuscope and myself more than I think anything else has. He's this big, he was a pickup horse, and he's this big old bull horse that he used to rub bulls on him and stuff. And every vet that saw that horse, they were like, I don't know that he'll ever come back from this. Like, I don't know, like, several times, anytime they were at the vet clinic, they got told so many times, like, I think you should probably just put this horse down. And they just had this gut feeling. They're like, no, like, I think that we should just hold
keep
on a
going.
little bit longer.
Yeah.
Like, we'll see. If anything, they just wanted him to be pasture sound. And they felt like they owed him that, because that horse did a lot for them, And he ended up, like, healing from the injury. He ended up being okay. And they had retired him. They decided that they didn't want the chance of hurting the leg anymore.
But how long did it take?
So he stayed for 6 weeks, and he was at the vet for, we'll say 3 weeks before that. So, and then after that we did, he went home after 6 weeks. And then I'm trying to think, we did treatments a couple times a week after that, but after that 6 weeks, he was pretty much walking. Okay.
Talking about how many times, so what do you suggest, like on a performance horse? How often do you suggest, if it's just for maintenance, or like I'm saying, like barrel horse, that works do 1 or 2 run a week. How often do you suggest to do the Acuscope or things like that?
I always tell everybody like what you feel on your horse. So most of the time, like
she just want to see if you have cookies.
Right. Most of the time, the owners of the horse, they can feel a difference on them. So I'll have people that are like, "Hey, I think my horse needs it," If they're really running them, I suggest once a week, once every other week, or at least once a month, just to help.
To maintain.
Yeah, just to maintain. And, I mean, it helps to prevent your injuries, too, just because the body's, already working everything, and you're helping your cellular function and everything already.
Yeah. And when you have an injury, or that the horse, a suspensory or something like that, because we work on one presently that he has a big issues, so he has a lot of issue. But what is the protocol that you suggest, when they have like a suspensory or something like that, or even if it's the stifle that they are like tore stifle or things like that, how often, what do you suggest more?
The more you can do it, the better.
Yes.
It's kind of the best way to describe that. Each horse is different, and so it just kind of depends on what their numbers are reading, how they're walking, stuff like that. Usually you want to start with at least 3 to start it. But some people that's not feasible for also. So it just kind of depends on the horse, the injury.
The horse.
In that sense. 3 is good, or 5 in a row. Some injuries, they are really good to rehab and do every day for several days. So each horse is different. But I say at least start with 3.
At least for 3.
Go from there.
Yeah. And do you do like an EPM treatment, things like that too, to help them, or?
Yes. Yeah, it's really good for EPM. It helps, like it's going to help with your cellular function just in general, but it's going to help to like build that muscle tissue back. It's going to help with your muscle atrophy. Going to help with just their overall well-being, because they feel like crap.
I know, when they have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and what about an abscess? Because we saw some case that it's an abscess that they, sometimes the abscess can take a while before they burst or whatever, and the horse is so sore or not. So
right.
Can you work on that with the Acuscope?
Yes. So it's going to actually help to bust that abscess out of there. And then in turn, it's also just going to help their foot feel better also. And
to heal from
right.
the abscess
heal everything back up.
Okay. And when they have an abscess and it's not bust, but I saw some horses that they are very like drama queen about an abscess. How often do you feel that you need to do it? It depends probably on each horses, but how often do you need to do it before you, very often, like to see the abscess bust?
Some horses, they'll bust right there in the middle of the treatment. Some horses, it might take a couple of days. And so I said, like, if it hasn't busted, that first treatment, during the first treatment, I'm like, okay, we need to do it several days in a row until it does
bust. Okay.
Which I also like. I like when people have gone to the vet and the vet kind of pinpoints where it's at too, because again, we have so many different placements that we can do, and if we know specifically where it's at, we can help draw it out, depending on where it's at.
Yeah.
It's less of a guessing game.
Yes, and other things too, because I know the answer, but if they go to the vet and they have injection, so can you do the Acuscope after the injection or no?
Yes. So I was taught to wait a minimum of 3 days after injection. If the horse needs treated in between that 3-day period, you want to just stay a joint above. So their whole body's still going to benefit from it, but it's not going to disperse that injection, because that's one of my questions that I ask. I have a whole question list that I ask people when I work on a horse. When was the last time they were injected? Where were they injected at? How long? just because we don't want to inject it, or we don't want to disperse the injection because those are expensive and we're trying to work with the vet, not.
Okay,
so we're done with the treatment on the Acuscope, and so then we're going to bump the gain back down to see our reading. So she should be open 105. So there's kind of a crash.
A crash on the right side.
Yep.
Okay. So what that means when she crashed
on the left side.
On the left side, she's good.
So a crash. Oh,
look how she's stretching. She's like, oh, I like it. That feels good. She loves her hip.
So a crash is just the body's not holding the charge. So in turn, essentially that would just mean that she needs another treatment, that her cellular function is lower. It's not necessarily a bad thing because it's helping us to pinpoint. It helps us kind of to pinpoint, where that's happening, what's going on. Yeah, not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that she can probably use another treatment to help that. We kind of judge that also by, you could see that she was reading 85 when we unplugged it there. That's a lot better than 0.
Yeah.
So, if it went, sometimes the numbers will just, totally, this.
Go down to 0.
And it's oh, gosh, okay, that's not good. But in her sense, it wasn't, It also could have been we needed to push on the plate and make sure that we had really good connection still, too. So, not specifically a bad thing.
Perfect. Now you will start, because you put the back end on the machine on the Myopulse, but now you will do the neck.
Yep, so this is the roller bar. So the cool thing about the roller bar is it's reading from that plate there to this plate, and I have another one that just completely plugs in just to the roller bar, but I like this one sometimes better. So when there's blockage with this, it won't roll. So you can kind of see how, right there it's rolling, but this one's not.
Yeah.
So over time, they'll both start rolling. But that's a sign of blockage and cellular dysfunction there, is when the roller's not.
Yeah, they don't roll at all.
Right. So I really there's different, the treatment that you're getting with the roller bar or different accessories that there are, you can also achieve the same results. With the plates, it's definitely just a preference of your Acuscope therapist of what they decide to do.
Okay. So if with her, we say we don't want to do the roller, we will do something else. So you will maybe use more supplies. Right? So you will use more maybe from the shoulder to the head.
Right.
Something
So
that.
I could definitely plate right there on her shoulder and then on her pole, and still achieve the same
things.
The same thing.
But do you feel because her neck is always more so that she's benefit more from the roller?
Yes. Well, and I kind of, so you don't get a number reading when you do the roller bar. Your reading is kind of a visual on what you're seeing as far as how it's rolling.
But you do the same setup.
The same settings.
Yeah.
Settings and time and everything.
Okay.
And I kind of like it too because I feel like it kind of helps pinpoint more where the blockage is.
So we can see that.
So see right there, it's rolling.
It's rolling.
But the other one isn't.
No, we cannot see the other one. Oh, is it?
Here.
It's when you start, we can really see it.
Yeah. So right there, it's not rolling at all.
Yeah.
And then when I start moving back up the neck, you can see So right there, there's not much blockage. But down farther, there is. See how it's sucking, just pushing the gel.
And it's always our C4 or C5 that it's more sore on her neck.
Right. Hi.
Yeah.
So you can see all of this gel melting too. That's all inflammation.
Okay.
How it's just running.
Yeah.
It should spread out, but it shouldn't. So some of it you can see is still kind of goopy. That's kind of how it should be, so it's pulling information out.
Perfect.
So you can ride the horse right after. There's different treatment protocols. Like we have like a pre-performance protocol. So like if you're at a rodeo or a road race or something like that, you can work on, them. Then they can saddle their horse and go make their run or whatever. I always tell my people it depends on how their horse is feeling and kind of what their numbers read and stuff and what they were feeling prior to that also. I mean, if they were really sore and everything, I'll be like, give them the day off, let them rest. But, like, you could go to a road race or rugby or whatever that night, too, if you wanted, just depending on how they're feeling. You don't specifically have to give them time off like you do.
But at least you need to drink, I think.
Yes, definitely good hydration afterwards because we're helping or we're stirring up toxins and stuff and like helping their body flush the toxins. We can kind of pull that stuff out. And so you definitely want to let them have a good fresh drink of water. Yeah. So all of the protocols that we have from school, and that because like I know that I've made up some of my own treatment protocols.
Yeah.
Oops. Oh gosh, Bailey. She's like, get me closer. It's so good. They're all on the acupressure points, and so we use those points to help us. Like in school, we were taught those points, and then like I have a chart to refer back to if I need to or want to or whatever about which ones to use.
Which one it's to use and better like that. Like with the roller like that, I know that all the others too, but for a horse that has a surgery like kissing spine or things like that they have scar tissue, do you think that can benefit? Do you like the roller for that?
Yes, most definitely. I just say most. Every horse that I work on that's had either has kissing spine or has had the kissing spine surgery, I always do the roller for them. I just think I think that it's really good for breaking up your scar tissue and it's just a feel good too,
Oh, that's
kind of like a little bit of a massage with it. I know it's not near what a massage therapist does as far as feeling that way, but the machines themselves make noise. I don't really like the noise, so I keep mine turned down, and my audio just isn't very loud in general. So you can hear sometimes people say it sounds like aliens. So they'll be like, "What is happening? Yeah. What is that noise?" And I'm like, "It's okay. Like, don't freak out." But I think that's part of why people don't know about it so much too, because it's not like even just like the lasers. Like you see the light and you see it, like
the magno wave,
you see it like doing something, and this you don't. So people are like, "Is it even doing anything?" And
the best thing I think is to try it. Do you do human too, or you do more horses?
I mostly just do horses. I try to stick to horses because people kind of freak me out.
Okay.
But my friends and stuff like that, I have no problem working on friends, family. People that I know, I don't have any problem. But as far as like the public goes, I'm like,
So we talk about scar tissue and things like that, but another things is it good for like the internal of the horse, like kidney, bladder, stomach, kind of. The lung and everything. Is it good for that too?
Yes, absolutely. So we treat along the meridians that service internal organs. So like, your lungs, your stomach, your stuff like that. We have different protocols that address those. And so like lungs is a big thing. I mean, everybody I think that every day on Facebook I see some kind of post about Lasix and people running on their Lasix and everything. And their lungs and their bleeders and stuff like that. And it absolutely helps with that. It's going to help kind of heal that stuff, but also just like strengthen and everything. Help open it up and make it feel better too.
And even with the stomach too, so because the machine goes work on the bad cells. Does that make sense?
Right.
To regenerate, to talk to the body like, hey, heal yourself. She's like, hey, don't go away. You're not done.
Okay, so it recharges the depleted cells. So yeah, it's gonna find and address, you know, those problems. And when you're working on their whole body, you're definitely going to get those different points that at some point in there, you're going to hit a different point that does address, you know.
A resume, we will say that the Acuscope can mend us, heal, but it's good with the massage. It's good with the vet. It's not the only solution.
Right.
That it's all a teamwork.
Yeah, it all works as a team. And like your injuries, it can help speed up your recovery time by at least 50%. On an injury. So things like that, it's like substantial to do, but it works in conjunction, you know, with the vet, with your massage, with the chiropractor. It all works together to help the horse. And so you can't just, I'm a firm believer that you can't just cut out one thing and replace it with, you know, or you can't replace all things with one thing. It just doesn't, I mean, it doesn't work that way. So I'm based out of Weatherford. I'm mobile, so I go about as south as Grandview, and then I go as north as Vernon. So I kind of travel, and then my parents, I'm from Wyoming, so I travel there frequently, and so I can't, you know, my dad is a firm belieper of like, hook me up, you know, so I never go home without my machine.
Machine, so when you go, but how can we join you or connect to you or?
So I have a Facebook page. It's called K.A.P Acuscope. K.A.P Acuscope. That or Instagram, and then those are probably the best way. And there's a bunch of information on those pages too that kind of like if somebody is, in case if we didn't touch on something, if there's something else, you know. And people can always send me a message too and just ask.
Hey, thank you. We will let Millie finish her treatment. We can see that she really enjoyed it and her scratching at the same time. So thank you so much, because I'm feeling now people can really see it.
Kind of see it better.
See it
well, thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your time with me. Please make sure to follow, like, share, subscribe on all my social media, and don't forget to leave me a review. If you want to learn more about me, visit my website, horseconfidence.com with a K, where you can also order my book.